because stuckness is actually a symptom of disconnection from your truest self. Welcome to the Story of Spirit podcast, where practical spirituality meets real life. Hi, I'm your host, Sheetal Story. I'm a psychic medium, grief support counselor, professional astrologer, and a human design reader, and of course, a law of attraction master coach. With my unique blend of spiritual and practical tools, I am here to help you align with your soul-led purpose and ignite a life that sets your soul on fire. In this podcast, we are going to explore the principles of energy, astrology, spirituality, and psychology to help you heal your grief and create an aligned life and business from the inside out. Whether you are looking to deepen your intuition, understand your cosmic design, or transform your business, this podcast is for you. Join me each week for insightful discussions, practical tips, and inspiring stories that will guide you on your journey to living your very best life. Don't forget to subscribe and follow us on Instagram at Sheetal Story or wherever you listen to this podcast. Let's dive in and start this transformative journey together. Welcome to the Story of Spirit podcast. Today, I want to talk to you about stuckness. What is feeling stuck? What does it mean when we are stuck, right? Where we don't know in what direction we want to go, or we're feeling like we're not happy or passionate about anything anymore, or we're just plain scared to go in a direction because what will happen? We don't know. So that can be uncertainty. Right? And a question I want to ask you from my heart to your heart is, are you stuck, or do you just not trust in spirit? And that can be not trusting in spirit, like the universe, or not trusting in your own spirit. Because when we're stuck, we feel like we're almost kind of in mud. We can't move anywhere. And to be fair, if you don't have clarity, then it's not the time to move in any direction. It's the time to stay quiet and to go within and to do some healing work. Because stuckness is actually a symptom of disconnection from your truest self. Because guess who knows where you're supposed to go? Your soul. Your soul knows where you're supposed to go in every instance. And sometimes the universe is right timing us. So it's not time yet to move forward. And I did talk about in a previous episode where when I wanted to go to university, I was set on becoming a lawyer. I thought this is where I was going to go. This is what I was meant to do. And I kept getting the 50th percentile on the LSAT, which is the law entrance exam. And so I was like, well, I'm not the dumbest person in the room, but I'm definitely not the smartest. And this is not to say anything about my intelligence. And that's, a really interesting thing that I just realized in this moment is I never thought that I intellectually wasn't valid to go there. I wasn't qualified to go there. I was qualified. I never felt that I wasn't. I knew if I wanted to be there, I was going to be there. And I feel like that's something that's been in my heart since I was a kid, which can be, I think, a lovely gift. But it was more so that I just wasn't getting it right? I wasn't getting into, I didn't pass the entrance exam. So I was thinking of all the other ways I could go about it. I could go as a mature student. I could get an after degree, bring up my GPA, try again down the road, take some classes, more classes. I already took classes, but I could take more classes. What is the way that I could get into law school? And it never occurred to me at that point that law school wasn't for me. I was like, how can I get around this obstacle? That's the way my mind works. So moved to Vancouver with my then fiance, now husband. And I tried getting jobs with my degree, did not get anything at that time that was remotely close to what I wanted to do. I remember I tried an HR job for this really horrible person, and I didn't last a week. I was like, I hated this man so bad. I kept coming home from work going, I don't know why I'm doing this. My husband's like, why are you there? I said, because this could be my career. My minor was in HR. My major was in business law and economics. And I thought this is, if I could use my degree, this would be where I would use it. but it was an obvious no. I just couldn't stand the man, and I didn't want to go to work. So I started serving at the keg, as you do as you're a server. If you've been a server at any restaurant in your life, shout out, because servers are a different breed. We are very social. We can talk to anybody. We can make the best of any situation. I've been a server pretty much since I was able to serve, actually even before, when I was 17. Started out at my dad's restaurant, and then moved into serving in actually I've only ever served in three restaurants. My dad's, Moxie's Classic Grill back in the day. Shout out to the Moxie's crew. And then the Keg restaurants. So shout out to the Keg as well. They do such a good job of cultivating their staff. And so my husband worked for Keg head office, and I was working at the Keg, serving at Thurlow Street Keg, which I don't think is there anymore, in downtown Vancouver, making pretty good coin. It's the tourist crowd goes through there. So I was doing pretty good. I was able to pay my bills. My husband was in his career job, fiance back then anyways. And I was like, what is my purpose? Where's my path forward? Like, what is going to happen? And I just heard, just hang tight. Like, just sit tight. At that point, my gifts hadn't opened up yet. So I wasn't quite aware of, spirit, and, I had these intuitive gifts and stuff, but I just had this feeling I needed to just sit tight, and the right opportunity would present itself. And, the fear of being a career server, not that there's anything wrong with that. I just knew for me that was not my career. I often would joke, I want to laminate my degree and put it around my neck and serve. Would you like coffee with that? Would you like a glass of wine? Here, let me suggest a wine. By the way, I have a business degree. I was a little jaded. And luckily I had paid off all my loans and everything, and I was debt free from school, which was great. But trying to sort out what is my life, and I want to be married to this beautiful man. I want to have a great wedding. We wanted to buy a house. We want to have children. Like, when is all of that going to even happen if I don't have a career yet, right? And then an opening came up in the Keg for the purchasing coordinator at that time. And I had all the credentials. I had a business degree. I worked in restaurants my whole life. I knew the Keg inside out because I was a server. Purchasing, I could do that. That's not hard for me. And, meticulous and detailed and all the things. And went through the interview process, and it felt so easy. It felt so easy. And I got the job, and I had the most amazing boss in that job that changed my life. And that career really got me started off in my career as a purchasing professional and in the sales and food industry. So that job couldn't have come along, and nor would I have ever thought that I would go into purchasing when I graduated from my business degree, right? My mind was in law school, but I felt stuck when I was working at the Keg, serving on Thurlow Street in downtown Vancouver, going, I have this business degree. Where am I supposed to go? And I knew that I wanted to have a professional job. I knew I was capable. I was interviewing for jobs, and I realized I just kind of had to wait. So if you'd asked me back then if I felt stuck, I think at the point that I had accepted that this was just a holding pattern for now, I didn't feel stuck. But when I was trying to get into law school and that wasn't working out for me, I felt stuck because I was trying to open a closed door. And I think that is a real aha for anyone who's listening right now and feels stuck, is that what door are you trying to open that's actually closed for you? It's not the door you're supposed to go down anymore. Go through anymore. You're meant to go over here. And the universe is trying to tell you, over here. And you're just not listening because you're trying to reef on this door that is not yours anymore, right? Might have been. And you can, put that to school, you can put that to career, you can put that on relationships. I have had clients who are amazing, powerful women, and their husband the relationship, their marriage is ending. And there's such a fear of if they develop themselves or their intuition or their gifts, that their marriage will end. And I said, if your marriage is contingent on you never developing yourself, then that marriage is meant to end. This is not what you're supposed to. You don't go into a relationship with someone saying, I'll never change, and you shouldn't either, right? We are meant to change together and we're meant to grow together. And if one person is growing and the other one is not, then there can be either an understanding of, yeah, you grow and I support you. I'm good where I'm at. And that can be okay as well, right? It doesn't have to be that both of you are growing and both of you are endeavoring on these, wild, amazing adventures in your own lives, but together or apart. I mean, whatever, right? There's many different ways to have a relationship, but where one is stifling the growth of the other because there's a fear that you will grow away from me or you will not need me anymore, then that is a toxic relationship and it will end whether you decide to develop yourself or not. It will end, right? So this developing yourself and shoring yourself up is where what I love to do with women are going through grief is I always work with women on the side of like, let's really sort out who you are now, because we will go through iterations in our life. You are not meant to stay the same. And you don't believe me, just think about the values. Values, what did you value in your teens, in your 20s, in your 30s, in your 40s, and then if you're in your 50s, 60s, 70s, what are your values? They're not the same thing. Right? I valued adventure and excitement and going to the bar in my early 20s. In my 30s, I valued being home with my family and growing my family, having children, being the best mom I could be. In my 40s now, it has been my value is freedom. It is nurturing, care, not judgment, love, compassion, kindness. Those were not the same values I would have had if you had interviewed 21-year-old Sheetal. So your values change. You are designed to change in your life. That is part of your soul's evolution. It's your own growth. So when you feel stuck, it actually, and Spirit just showed this to me, is that you're about to shed your skin. It's almost like the snake, shedding its skin, and what has been does not fit anymore. And you're trying to make it fit. Or you're trying to sort out where do you fit, and you don't fit there anymore. So it can be like a dark night of the soul. And dark night of the soul is one of those terms we talk about in spirituality a lot, but it's really the darkest before the dawn, as they say. But it's a time when you cannot see the light. Everything feels like it's falling apart. It's what has fit before no longer fits. You don't know who you are. You don't know where you should be. And it's this kind of death, like a shamanic death, as they say. There's a part of you that is falling away. And so it can feel very heavy. And that, I think, is a symptom. Stuck is a symptom of the dark night of the soul being imminent or you being in it. And two of the things that can kind of keep us from being our true self is fear of judgment and fear of failure. And, judgment from who, right? Who are we scared of judgment from? Judgment from our community, from our parents. When I was coming out as a psychic medium, I was so scared what people would think of me. I thought for sure my, school friends were going to think she's a fraud and, well, who does she think she is? And as I launched my Facebook page, now I think it's so funny, but as I did so, I literally cringed as I hit like publish, and I closed my eyes and I closed everything. I closed Facebook and I just went away, and I was playing with my kids and watching some news and TV, eating dinner, and I came back and I opened my Facebook page and there was over 100 comments of like, congratulations, Sheetal, finally you're out of the closet. And I remember having a couple friends actually from elementary school going, Sheetal, remember when you were the palm reader in grade 5 at the school carnival and you had a lineup of people? Like, I knew then that you were psychic. Why do you think that no one's going to know? And I was like, oh my God, I had forgotten that I was a palm reader in grade 5. I literally am like, what can I be in the carnival? And people were, there's a kissing booth and there was a pin the tail on the doggy. And I was like, no, I want to do something fun. And I opened up the Encyclopedia Britannica back in the day. That was our Google, right? My parents had an Encyclopedia Britannica, where I did like most of my homework through that thing. Bless Encyclopedia Britannica. And I opened up to palm reader. And I was like, yes. I literally was going down, how Virgo is that, right? Going down the encyclopedia list of like, what could be in here? What is something that I could maybe master? And palm reading was in the Encyclopedia Britannica. So whoever put that in there, probably in spirit now, like, thank you, thank you, thank you. Learned what all the lines meant, learned how to read the palm, just very basic, grade 5. I'm 10 years old. What are you expecting here? And I dressed up like a gypsy, and I hope that term doesn't offend anyone. But the stereotypical, with the scarf over the hair and like all the necklaces and things like that. And I had palm reading for 25 cents or something like that. And I had a lineup of people, and it was so much fun. It was just fun. I remember that. So it was very interesting, that fear of judgment is so funny now. You look back on it, like, who was I actually scared of the judgment from? And the people that do judge me are not my people anyway, right? And even if it was my family and friends, which I have to say I am very, very, very blessed, because a lot of the people in my community have not had that experience, or not out in the world with their gifts, because they are surrounded by people who do judge that very harshly and still believe that this is not from God, that this is from some other entity, which I just don't understand. We are all made in the image of God. So my gifts come from God. I am a child of God. So why would this not be that way? We've just created all these man-made rules that keep us from our true self. And I just don't understand that. I never did, even as a kid. And then the fear of failure, really, I mean, what is failing? My beautiful friend Elise says fail is first attempt in learning. FAIL, first attempt in learning. So there's no such thing as failure, really. You're just having an experience, and everything, especially as an entrepreneur, is information. It's just information. You have a launch and nobody signs up. Great, information, right? If you apply for a job and you don't get it, great, information. You're not supposed to have that job, right? If you ask somebody out and they say no, information. If you're in a relationship and they cheat on you, information. We put in emotion on it, right? And in terms of like, the cheating piece, there is a vow that was broken there. There is honesty that's now gone, integrity is gone, respect is gone out of that relationship. So a lot has been lost. And when we have what we perceive as rejection, that is actually a wound from our childhood, right? We're not actually being rejected, we're just being redirected. But there can be a lot of grief in the redirection. And so we must acknowledge how we are feeling around that. And as an entrepreneur myself, and someone who's a grief counselor who coaches a lot of entrepreneurs myself, is that acknowledgement. We are not taught to acknowledge our feelings, right? And especially if you are in rural, I'm here in Alberta, there's a lot of farmers here in Canada and in the farming community. So if you've come from farming, if you've come from Eastern Europe or European countries, your family has come through famine or depression or wartime, there is a prevalent view of just get on with it, right? Don't deal with it. Don't talk about it. We don't have time. Because when you think about it, in wartime, times of famine, times of fleeing, you are just trying to survive. So there's no time to sit and talk about our feelings and have therapy and have someone acknowledge that this is terrible, that this happened to you, and these feelings that you're having are valid, and how can we heal these parts of us that are having these hard times. No, it's like we need to go or we will die. So there's this constant sort of running away from our emotions, and unfortunately it becomes an emotional pattern that we pass down through the generations until we heal it, until we say, no, we can say that these emotions are real, and it doesn't make us weak. It doesn't make us not successful. It's actually the opposite. It makes you more successful, because the ways that you're not able to achieve success in your life is because there are parts of you that are trying to keep you safe from what's on the other side of that success. So stuckness gives you a payoff. Stuckness gives you a payoff. So when you are stuck, then you don't have to move ahead. You don't have to do the workout routine. You'll never lose the weight. You'll never have the body that is strong and vital and vitality, full of vitality. And so then you'll never lose it. whatever your fear is on the other side of it, that you'll never lose it. Or now you have to continue to do more and more and more. And when do you get to rest? Or people will think, what will people think of you? Whatever it is for you. So something to think about is, if you have a goal, something you want to achieve in your life, and you think about what's the bad thing that would happen if you got the goal. I know it's totally counterintuitive to what you would think. Because when I ask people that, they're like, what? No, I mean, when I get the goal, then I'll have the money, then I'll have the body, then I'll have the relationship. Then I was like, yeah, that's lovely. But there's a part of you that's really scared of getting those things. And we want to talk to that part of you. So your lovely, optimistic, good-natured, wonderful, neuro, stable self, let's just ask her to chill for a moment. And we want to talk to the part of you that's not stable, that is feeling like, when I have this thing, everything's going to fall apart. People will leave me. I literally know at least 7 women who have lost massive amounts of weight and their marriage dissolved after that. They left their partners left them, whatever, they, very kind of different circumstances. But after those massive weight loss journeys that they went on, their relationships literally fell apart. And I remember I had a coach, and she's like, why can't you stay committed to the gym and your eating regime? And I'm like, I don't know. I just feel like I won't be really connected with my husband after that, because he likes food. He's a chef. We love having good food together. So if I go on this regime, then I can't really enjoy that food, which I really love enjoying food. And so we went into a hypnosis, and it came out that I was really scared that I would lose my husband. And it was just crazy pants. I would never have thought of that if you had asked me that. But then after I said that, I was like, oh, but yes, of course. I mean, that makes sense to me, because I know all these women, they lose all the weight and then they're gone, and it's not because, I mean, the relationship just was no longer viable because they lived a new lifestyle, and I don't want that. And she said, what if you brought your husband on that lifestyle? And I was like, what if? I've never even talked to him about it. I don't know. It just had this weird fear in my head that was pulling the strings behind the scenes. And that's that subconscious programming that can come up. So when we do the healing work into what is stuck, why are you stuck? What's the payoff behind it? What's on the other side of your dreams that's so scary? And acknowledging the emotions and the experience that you're having, and it's all valid. Your brain is trying to keep you safe. It is just one intelligence that you have access to, and it is a brilliant manifester. It can focus the energy of your being to get anything accomplished. And if you believe, good or bad, it will make it come true, right? Whatever you believe, it'll make it come true. But you also have the intelligence of your body. Your body is so intelligent, and its only job is to keep you alive. So if you give it optimal conditions, you eat really healthy things, you're taking care to sleep, to drink a lot of fluids, to hydrate your skin, take care of anything that's becoming an issue, it will create the optimal conditions to heal itself. It will do that. It is so brilliant. I actually have a client where her dad was dying of cancer, and they made the very loving choice to withdraw care, because it was time. And they pull all the machines off him, turned everything off, and he lived for 4 days. 4 days his body lived on nothing, full of cancer, and his soul was waiting for something. Soul was waiting to say goodbye to someone. And I tapped in, because she's like, I don't know what's happening. He's still here. Like, I feel like he's waiting for something. As I tapped in, and he's like, oh, he's waiting for your mom. He's waiting for your mom to either say sorry or to give him permission to go. And she's like, well, they're divorced. Like, I don't know. I don't know if that's going to happen. I said, at the very least, you might just apply on compassionate grounds to your mom to say, can you go and tell him, all is fine. Everything happened the way it was meant to. And I release you now to go to spirit, to be at peace. And she convinced her mom to go. Her mom said the things, and within 20 minutes, he passed. So the soul is the most powerful part and intelligence that you have access to. So we talked about the brain, we talked about the body. The body's only job is to keep you alive. Your brain's only job is to keep you safe. And what is safe is known. What's known is in the past. So anytime you're trying to manifest or move into something that's not known, which is likely your desire, the brain is like, wait, this is scary. No, thank you. And we're going to continue to keep you stuck because you will not move forward and then we won't be safe, right? So the brain creates these scenarios, situations like your husband's going to leave you if you become healthy and start to get a strong body, which is so ridiculous, right? But it can happen. It does happen. I've seen it happen, but not for the same reasons that I was sort of creating in my mind. And but the intelligence of your spirit, that is the vitality, the energy that is coming in to animate your body. That's the brain waves, it's your heartbeat. And when you take your last breath and that energy goes into the world of spirit or into just the world of energy, which is right here, that intelligence is cohesive and conscious. That is, and we know in mediumship we can bring forth their memories and the information and stuff from that consciousness in their energy field, not their brain, because their brain's already gone, right? This is their energy field. This is your energy field. You have a spirit that is animating your body, and it holds the compass. It knows the way forward in your life. You just have to trust it. You just have to trust it. So if you're getting a nudge that you want to go back to school, or you're getting a nudge to try to a course, or you just know that this relationship is ending and you don't maybe know why, you can go down the path. And I always preach discernment with your spirit, is go down the path of counseling and see if there's something that can be flushed to the surface of what's happening right now. Can you do everything in your power to understand this using conventional means? And sometimes your intuition is unconventional. It is your irrational awareness that you don't know why you know what you know, you just know it, right? So your spirit always knows the way. And spirit, which is God or the universe, source, creator, it also knows the way. So you just have to trust yourself. But in this awareness of yourself, I want to just be very cautionary in listening to everyone else, right? Like, even as a psychic, I can tell you what is in your forward momentum based on the choices you are making now. And I can look at your chart, your astrology chart and your human design, and sort of say, hey, these are some gifts and characteristics that you're given. These are some directional things that are coming up in your career. Have you thought about this? Have you thought about this? Have you thought about this? And I won't definitively say you are meant to be a counselor. I did have a client that I did say that to online. I did say that because I'm like, you are meant to be a counselor. I can feel it. I know it. She knew it for herself too, but it just wasn't the right time. She had to take care of her family. She had to do things that she had to do first. I know one day I will see her and she will be a counselor. I just know that. And it's interesting because she knew that too, right? It's just about timing. So sometimes we can see the top of the mountain, but we can't get there yet because we have to traverse a whole bunch of pathways before we can get there, right? So it's kind of hard sometimes when you're super intuitive and psychic because you can see the top of the mountain, but that can be a little scary sometimes for people. So I'm always just suggesting, what about this? What about this? What about this? And if you had said to me 25 years ago that I was going to be a psychic medium entrepreneur helping women in business and women moving through grief, I'd have been like, you're crazy. I'm going into purchasing. What are you talking about? I'm going to retire VP of purchasing and I'm going to have a great life. And full of stress and heartache and hardship. No, thank you. No, thank you. But life shows you along the way, right? The path changes, the doors close because something else is opening. So, where is a door opening for you? If you're stuck, what is another direction that's potentially calling to your heart that maybe you're a little scared to acknowledge? And just take one step and one step and one step. And by the time you realize it, you will be unstuck. Right. So if you are still feeling stuck, please join me. I do have an Unstuck challenge that I run throughout. There is actually one running right now. So you have good timing if you are in September with listening to this. And if it's at another time, no worries. You can message me as well. I can support you in your stuckness. But it's the question to ask yourself is, where are you not trusting spirit? Where are you not trusting yourself? Thank you for listening. Thank you for joining me on this episode of the Story of Spirit podcast. I hope you have found inspiration, support, and practical insights to help you align with your soul-led purpose and live a life that sets your soul on fire. If you have enjoyed today's episode, please subscribe to the podcast, leave a review, and share it with a friend. Your support helps us to reach more listeners and continues to provide valuable content. I sincerely appreciate every share, and I know it is how most people find me. It is because caring people like you have shared me with them at the right and perfect time. For more resources, insights, and to connect with our community, please visit us at www.sheetalstory.com and follow us on Instagram at Sheetal Story. Remember, your journey to a more aligned and vibrant life is just the beginning, and I am here to support you every step of the way. Until next time, stay aligned, stay inspired, and keep shining your beautiful light. This is Sheetal Story, signing off from the Story of Spirit podcast. Here's the legalese that's required by our lawyers. This podcast and the YouTube channel represents the opinions of Sheetal Story and her guests to the show. The content should not be taken as medical, psychological, or financial advice. This series is informational and entertainment purposes only. Because each person is so unique, please consult your healthcare professional, your mental health dream team, your financial advisor, or anyone else that's an expert in the field in where you are thinking of making big choices in your life.